So my name is Chantal. I'm a lecturer at Sandwell College and I've been teaching there for 13 years. So I work in foundation learning where we teach learners from 16 to probably 22, maybe up to 25 young people with special educational needs and disabilities. So I think with traditional teaching roles you tend to have a particular subject area, and in foundation learning we teach, we are jacks of all trades. We teach maths, English, life skills, independence, employability. We are teaching subject levels from pre-entry all the way up to level 2 GCSE and functional skills. It's quite a varied job. We do so much work around pastoral support, supporting young people to kind of have a positive experience in education. A lot of the young people that attend foundation learning have had negative experiences elsewhere. We do have, we support students who might have had mental health difficulties or physical health difficulties. Some students that might have been in local authority care or previously in care, or might not live at home in what might be classed as a traditional background. They might have had difficulties in their upbringings and have had needs that haven't been addressed in other settings. So in foundation learning we really try and engage the learners in developing a positive experience of education that they can then go on to take on into their adult lives. So I've finished my Masters in 2018, and during that study really looked at policy in relation to special educational needs and functional skills, and also thinking about the changes in practice since the Code of Practice changed in 2014. Recently, my real focus, especially post-pandemic, is thinking about success for learners with special educational needs and exploring what defines success and how is that measured and how does that relate to what the policy says and also the experiences of the young people and the people that teach them. So young people with special educational needs are still bound by a similar process in terms of developing their maths and English skills as they would be in mainstream settings, and that kind of boundary, that benchmark of hitting a level 2 qualification as being the progression and the opportunity to go into work is really one of the things that we find the hardest to meet, primarily because young people with additional needs or have had other things going on don't necessarily come into FE education at a point where it'll take a year or 2 years to achieve those qualifications if they are capable of doing so. And finding meaningful opportunities for young people with special needs beyond education is something I think is a challenge in society as a whole. So finding paid work or paid opportunities that add to their independent skills and allow them to kind of access society and the community in a more broad way is something that we find challenging from an education perspective, in terms of identifying where the progression opportunities are. Are there real opportunities? Will they give them the skills that, the things that we're teaching in terms of employability skills, will they have the opportunity to use these skills in their lives? Through being independent, through looking after themselves, through engaging in society, community activities, through progressing in work, finding paid employment, being able to look after themselves, as some of us I think take for granted that we are able to do, especially when we're employed and have qualifications. We're able to do that. Young people with special educational needs may not meet those benchmarks of level 2 in maths and English or other subject areas in order to be able to access work. However, their practical skills and their commitment and willingness to kind of overcome their difficulties really sets them apart from young people that I've worked with in mainstream, because their commitment to achieving something that isn't always recognised as being possible for them is a major selling point in terms of employers or other activities for engaging with people with special educational needs. We've made some massive groundbreaking steps in the last 2 or 3 years, and we have a supported internship programme which really is looking towards taking learning outside of the classroom and working in partnership with employers to kind of build those industry-based skills. Employers can see the qualities that the young people have, but the young people also have the opportunity to transition into those kind of environments. That preparation time and planning is really, really crucial. So recently we've worked with Sandwell Metropolitan Council, we've had the NHS, we've had McDonald's, DPD is a new partner that we're working with, where we're really looking at expanding the learners' prospects and their own aspirations of what they think they're capable of, and giving them opportunities to explore some of these theoretical skills such as CV writing or thinking about maths in a real world environment. What are the math skills we're learning in the classroom? How will that benefit me in the real world when I'm employed? I think especially post-pandemic, our focus really in Foundation is been trying to look for the opportunities where the rest of the world have been disadvantaged. So in a kind of upscale way, we it's levelled up a little bit in terms of thinking about where other people have been trying to sit out this really difficult time for everybody, whereas in Foundation we've been really trying to look for opportunities within that situation. So we've had, in the past academic year, we've had students that have left with full level 2 passes at Maths and English, have gone on to an access course to move into higher education. We've had young people that have been employed and are still employed both on a full-time and part-time basis. Wow. We've got returning students that have gained part-time work during the last academic year, so they're now managing, they're developing independent skills by coming to college, progressing their knowledge, but also going to work part-time. I think it's fantastic. One young person in particular that is, my current research tells his story. He's currently working 2 jobs now, but left the end of last academic year by being employed by West Bromwich Albion, which is fantastic. And what it also does, I think we're so privileged that he's managed to do this while he's still attending, because that provides a massive example for all the young people in Foundation Learning to see actually there are young people like us who I know who have had similar difficulties or have had difficulties in other areas that I've been able to see, have been supported in gaining these experiences. So the qualifications and the skills that we've been learning and talking about within our classroom settings have then been able to take into that real world environment and have benefited him and will continue to benefit him as he progresses. There's 2 central points, one being the learners and the young people in my teaching area, but also the policy that defines what we do and how we should evidence it, and what is stated as success. Some of the work that began at the outset of this research really was taking that concept of success back to the learners and talking to them about what they see as being success for them, thinking about success in education, in life, in work and employment. What do those things look like? What would they, if they were reflecting back on themselves in 5 years, what would have been the things that they thought as being most successful? And how do those concepts from the young people who it's their lives relate to what the policymakers write? So how does the legislation provide for what their experiences of success really are and what they aspire to be? Is there a relationship? Isn't there a relationship? And how can we look at, how do those conversations then go on to further impact our practice? What changes, if any, can we make? What more celebrations or what more publicity do we need to give to the aspirations and the goals of these young people? And where are the gaps? Are there any gaps? What more can we do as an institution or society, local authorities and funding schemes? What more needs to be done to ensure that this isn't just me talking about a great experience of one young person that I know in particular, or what happens at Sandwell? This is something that can be shared more nationally, where we can repeat these kind of stories of young people with special educational needs. What models can we put together that can be developed into a broader plan for young people with learning difficulties?